Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, walk into your grain silo, take over your grain silo. The Red Raiders down the Cyclones in Ames, Iowa. The look on my face, not one of surprise.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Now the number one sports podcast network in the world. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn March energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com today to get started. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you on the heels of arguably the biggest win yet for Grant McCASLAND and the Red Raiders. What's fun, we've said that a few times this season. Cyclones down. You think we're afraid of the wind in West Texas? Red Raiders darn near wire to wire, controlling a ball game on the road against number 4. At the end of the day, you get the results you want. You know it was going to be full of adventure, obviously, even though you were stretching your legs with a big lead in some earlier portions of the game. But for all of the Iowa State efforting and trying down the stretch was just not meant to be. We obviously will react to this game in full, Chris. I want to get to a couple of things in particular with you that stood out about it, including the Red Raiders continuing to do big-time work in the paint, on the glass. How is it happening? We'll talk about that. And we've also got to talk about something that continues to happen. It's sort of unexpected game to game, but it's not new, if that makes sense at the same time. And I think it actually indicates or is a symbol of something that Grant McCASLAND and his coaching staff maybe do as well or better than anyone in the country. Random impact guys. Well, we got another one to put on the list after the festivities on Saturday. But Chris, you were there courtside, and you're seeing it up close and personal. You're feeling the Hilton energy. There was certainly plenty of that. But I want to take you back to Friday. I think some of our final words on our Iowa State table setting episode were something along the lines of, I don't know why, but I almost expect Grant McCASLAND to make this interesting. Whatever that meant. I don't even think, considering my luckiest of stars, I was thinking about just going in and getting a win. But it was definitely interesting, wasn't it?
Oh, was it interesting? Yeah, I mean, big, giant, huge balls. I mean, sorry for the younger audience in our listening and viewing audience, but I mean, this is just sports are funny, and it's just it's one of these things where. You said it best earlier when you said this is maybe your biggest win yet, and you have a collection of wins that nobody in the sport can top. Now you've got a few losses mixed in, your UCF and your Arizona States and some things like that it's like kind of frustrating that you wish you had some of those back, but he relishes this kind of role or this spot. You put his group in a hostile environment with a full crowd and nobody gives you a chance, look out, because this has just become normal now. I mean, and I think I said that on the little video I taped with you, or I taped for you before the game started, when I was just sitting there, I was like, man, ain't nobody in the country giving you any kind. I mean, if you looked at the way that the national games were portrayed going into Saturday morning, this is a ranked matchup, and yet it wasn't discussed, highlighted, nothing. It was all about Kansas, Arizona. It was about Florida, Arkansas. It was about some different matchups, but this was a foregone conclusion to many. The spread started out at like 9.5. It got up to 10.5 or even 11 or whatever. Nobody was giving you a puncher's chance in this one. And that's when he and his guys are at his best, or at their best. I mean, that's just I think that has been proven. Does it compute our brains at times? No, but we need to get past that, because he just doesn't blink. He runs to the fire, and And Callan, the thing was, it was from the tip. I mean, from the tip, you could see the extra. Mike Tyson once said, "Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth," and you were just laying haymakers early. And I think Iowa State was slow to adapt to it, and they eventually did. But by then it was a bit too much, because they obviously made some runs, and we'll get into kind of how we got from beginning to the very end. But Grant is a really, really, he's just good at what he does, great at what he does. And ultimately, long term, he'll be judged by what kind of runs you can do in March and all those kinds of things. But this is a head coach, man, that if he's got some pieces to work with, the best compliment you can give a coach is he squeezes everything out of what he's got. And boy, did he. Because if you tell me before this one, you're going to turn it over 8 more times than Iowa State, and Christian Anderson's going to play the final basically 16 minutes with 4 personal fouls, or he's going to pick up his 4th foul with 60 minutes to go, I'm thinking, and he only is going to score 14 points in this game. That's not a recipe to how to get to the end and beat the 4th-ranked team in their building, which had not lost. I mean, I guess as of now, it's just Duke and North Carolina that remain as teams that haven't lost at home. And I'm trying to remember where that game coming up this weekend will be with Duke and Carolina, but that will obviously end because, I say that it maybe won't end, but that's I mean, if they were 15-0, they were the only team in the Big 12 and one of 3 teams in the country that had not lost a home game. I don't know if that's just Power 4 or across the country or whatever it was, but still, and that's why the number from the Vegas folks was what it was. They hammer teams there. They are not nice to teams there. And after watching it up close, and I know there was a lot of conversation about officiating and the free throw discrepancy, but they get away, or maybe get away with more pushing and shoving and pulling and everything more so than what West Virginia used to under Huggins, or what Kelvin Sampson does at Houston. And that is a mouthful to say. I don't say that or mention that lightly, and I think TJ Otzelberger wants it that very way because, again, the premise is let's basically – and he said this after the game. We wanted to embrace the collision, create the collision. I mean, basically he's just saying we're going to be physical. We're going to dare you to call fouls. And they know the officials are just not going to call it every single time. They're going to let some stuff go. And trying to play through it, I mean, but when you got a bunch of shot makers – like you did and like you have that are executing and knocking them down, dude, I mean, that was – and it wasn't just one guy. I mean, you had some big, giant, massive shots that just took the heart out of the state of Iowa. And I mean, just big ones, big, giant ones, man. And that's a win to be celebrated. And we'll kind of talk about the ramifications of what it may mean for you going forward.
Yeah, and when it comes to pulling off the improbable, Grant is as good as I've ever seen anyone at it. I don't know what other way to describe it. You may have a better option out there or candidate, but as far as what I've seen, he's as good at it as anyone has ever been. Because, Chris, when you're thinking about the way that you've had to adapt, not only in this year, but the year gone by as well, I mean, it's old hat. And I was retweeting yesterday a quote from a previous episode, I think after what they did in Tucson, where we were just talking about get used to it, essentially. The gist is this is what he does. And so I'm trying not to be surprised by it, even though it's still kind of staggering. It sounds like to me, based on what you said, I mean, I'm not exaggerating and saying you controlled this game wire to wire. Am I?
No, I mean, you went on a 20-2 run at one point in this one. I think you got up you got up so much that I think it just took Iowa State a minute, and you were doing it with getting stops, hitting shots, rebounds. The rebounding battle semi caught up for Iowa State as the game would go along, but you just kind of dominated in this category. And you could just tell there was a major sense of urgency on your side of things that they did not have. I think they, TJ Otzelberger and Taman Lipsey and all them after the game, they said as much. And I don't know if they, because think Kellen Buffington said this on the broadcast. I don't know, about a week ago. He does the halftime stuff with us, and he's like, "Doubt us if you want to. You might regret it, though." And I think, I'm sure part of this, with like the media conversation aside, anything that we have said about your ceiling being different or people counting them out or they're whatever, you have to know that some of these teams are like, okay, so JT Toppin's out and they're supposed to still be the same threat, or they're supposed to be better. No, I mean, and whether they don't really want to believe that or being told differently, I mean, there's probably, and I don't know if that's, if you just thought Texas Tech was going to show up at Iowa State on a Saturday, these are the most difficult, typically the most difficult road games to win are on Saturdays, just because, Saturday home games are there's a bit of a different vibe typically than midweek games. And now you've done this, to Arizona and to Iowa State. You've kind of ruined some weekends there. But I mean, I just think you kind of jumped on Iowa State, and they just you didn't win the game in the first half, but you went a long way in doing so. I mean, I mentioned that 20-2 run that you went on, and it just, I said this on the broadcast too, like a key to the game, right? I think I even said this when we were talking about the game on Friday leading up to it.
First, today's episode brought to you by Indeed. And hiring isn't just about finding somebody willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually make a hand in moving your business forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the only move to make. Instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post randomly, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, whether it's a skill set, specific certifications, location, or more. And that saves massive time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches and focusing only on those candidates who are actually a fit. Here's proof in the pudding that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies just like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. And right now, Locked On Texas Tech listeners will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed.
Right. I think I even said this when we were talking about the game on Friday leading up to it. You couldn't turn it over because they are as good as anybody in the country, especially so in their building, of turning your turnovers into points. When they blitz you and then it's a run out. And then that's when Grant talked about this with us before this game, is that this isn't like the frenzy that Fog Allen can be, but these are very educated fans, and their team creates the frenzy. And so, yes, it was loud and it was juiced up and it was angry at the end, but it's like the crowd is well aware of that team's identity and that program's identity. And they know you're going to play crazy defense and you're going to do this. But as it starts to work, the crowd kind of gets louder and louder and louder. And then it's like you only have so many timeouts to use and all that. But you just never got caught up into that. And until that, there was a stretch in the second half where it got a little hairy for you. And they cut it to 6 with about 6 minutes to go. Then there was a parade to the free throw line for Iowa State, so they were scoring without the clock running or anything like that repeatedly. But the other thing that I said was, and this is Captain Obvious, okay, yes, don't turn it over, duh, right? But especially so against this group. But the other thing was, and again, you go into every game saying, man, we got it. But this was really the only way, or one of the only ways you were going to get to the end by beating these guys, is you had to hit shots. You're going to get some looks because of how they play defense if you're smart and you can find them, because you can play 4-on-3 and 3-on-2 at times because of the way they're trapping in the half court and all that. You just have to get out of it, throw a skip pass, do some different things. if you can are patient enough and can execute, you can get some open shots. Not every time down. Well, you got just enough, but then what are you going to do with them when you get them? And boy, did you convert. And in some cases, these weren't like open shots. These were contested, and you still knocked them down. But
Can we talk shot makers?
Yes.
I love to mention the name of Donovan Atwell. If you want to talk about what was setting the tone in the first, he has 6 3-pointers made on the day. 5 of those 6 come in the first half. I mean, he was really the guy, right, to plug in on the road and kind of set the tone for your team, I think.
Donovan Atwell, I just don't know if there's enough praise you can heap upon what he's meant to your program and the kind of human he is, the efficient player that he is, the consistent player that he is. And if we're paying attention, he's starting to draw some of the toughest guards, like I say guards, not necessarily position-wise, but like some of the toughest assignments in the league when it comes to defensively. And yet he still is giving you every bit and then some on the offensive end. This is just this is top of the sport type stuff, man. I mean, I think there's some numbers out there analytically that would tell you that Momcilovic is maybe the most efficient player in the league and then in the country. Kid's a bucket. I mean, he's shooting over 50% from 3. I mean, like, are you serious? I don't care if you're in the driveway and ain't nobody around. Making half of what you throw up from distance is just monstrous. And he's kind of the guy for Iowa State that if he plays well, it usually goes well for them. When he struggles, so he's kind of the barometer. And he's like 6'7", 6'8", and who gets that assignment but Donovan Atwell? And Momcilovic made a few. He did, and some tough ones. Degree of difficulty was there, but Atwell's ability just to be so consistent with knocking down these jumpers, it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. And I appreciated one interaction between Donovan and Grant McCasLAnd. This was in the second half. Momcilovic, who's got a height advantage anyway. This is how he makes his living here, is he just he'll shoot over the top of you. You know, if it's in the mid-range, he kind of does the Dirk thing where he kind of gets in there and then fades away. You just can't block it, right? And then if he gets any time and space in the half-court setting, sometimes he'll just pull it because he can just shoot over. You're not long enough or tall enough or whatever. Well, there's one time where Atwell was basically right there, and he gets his hand up, and the kid he still buried it, which again 50% plus, right? And Grant starts to lose it, and Donovan Atwell is running back down the court, and Grant's starting to kind of vent some frustration to Atwell, and Atwell's like, I was there, I was right there, like there's nothing else, you know. And Grant was like, almost kind of like shut down, and he started yelling at somebody else. So, I mean, I was like, this was an awesome reaction and interaction between the two of them because, you know, it was tense at the time, and Grant was just frustrated with that. I'm sure the officiating, but it's just hard to like find anything to poke or prod at. And I'm sure there's some subtle things that he isn't doing perfectly that you could really point to with Donovan Atwell and saying, man, this has been a special 1-year stint. And I don't want to jump ahead, but I know we'll talk about it, but I'll just leave this here. If anybody deserved praise and a standing ovation and a full house for a senior night, it is that young man. So I hope that he gets that coming up this Tuesday, but we got more time to talk about that. But I mean, just golly, man, just what a clutch dude. And he set the tone. You're right. Only 1 3 in the second half, which was huge, mind you.
Yeah, it was.
But those 5 in the first half is what really kind of started the whole thing. And everybody kind of gets confidence, and you're like, we're in this thing. We can do this. And boy, did they.
3 and D, and the D stands for delivered, baby. And that, you know, his ability to knock down that huge shot in the second when he wasn't, you know, his hotter start or whatever was minutes gone by. It seemed like an hour gone by or whatever. just still to be ready for that opportunity and to knock it down, I think is so huge and also indicative of what the team's identity is at large. I'll get back to that in just a second in the random impact guy. But when we're talking about what's happening in the paint, Chris, I'm just still kind of shocked. And it's sort of, you're reconciling some different things at this point. You lose the Big 12 Player of the Year. He's an interior guy. He's at the rim. You're getting back size, regardless of all the Toppin news. You were getting back some size. You're getting healthier in the front court, just more bodies available. So maybe at the same time, I shouldn't be so surprised that you're competing well and or just beating teams in the paint, whether it's outscoring them or on the glass. But it's still sort of difficult for me to process with JT Toppin now on the bench, but you're doing things in the paint like what you're doing. So what'd you make of that effort near the rim? First, today's episode brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. Always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator, play-by-play. You decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Today's episode brought to you by Open Door Financial. And if you're a Red Raider balancing family and career this time of year, you're probably assessing the year gone by, forecasting for the future. And whether it's retirement, getting out of debt, leaving a legacy for your kids, or more, here's the thing, Open Door Financial is the one that's doing it the way that's best suited for you and your family's interests. Most advisors trying to sell something hit quotas, only working with clients with huge investment minimums, but that's not how they do it at Open Door Financial Advisors. And Chris, even better, it's a Red Raider that you're going to be talking with. Founded by a 2007 Texas Tech grad right here in Lubbock, and now over a decade and a half spent helping Red Raiders.
Yeah, Cowan, Derek lives in Lubbock. He's buying pizzas for the campers out there before these football and basketball games, things like that. He gives back. He's a trusted Texas Tech guy. I know that so many people out there, whatever they're trying to do, they want to do business with fellow Red Raiders. This is your man. So, Derek Finley, phenomenal guy you can trust. And it doesn't matter if you're flush and trying to figure out what to do with it, or if you're just trying to budget and trying to get out of debt, anything in between, he's your guy. He will take care of you and get you pointed in the right direction.
That's right. Over a decade and a half serving Red Raider families across the country, one simple mission, helping you gain financial freedom and peace of mind, no matter where you are starting from. And it's a subscription-based fee-only model, so never earning commissions on anything they're selling you, which means no hidden agendas, no investment minimums, only straightforward advice, all while living by West Texas values, truth, and grit. So if you're ready to work toward financial freedom, visit opendoorfa.com, opendoorfa.com to connect with Open Door Financial Advisors, honest guidance for Red Raider families who want to take care of what matters most.
Yeah, so this will be lost in time. But the reality is, like, for somebody like Luke Bamboye, this theoretically for him is really, say he's healthy the whole time, this is really like, say, early to mid-December for him. Like in the ramp up and getting to sort through chemistry and in shape and blah, whatever. This is mid-December for him. This is basically late November for Josiah Mosley. And so what is the most impressive thing is you've had this acclimation with these guys and trying to catch up with everything going on, the way you want to play, the intensity of the Big 12 conference. But to see what these guys are doing in some of the most hostile environments in the sport, you can go look at any list of toughest places to play in the country. The McCain Center and Hilton Coliseum are going to be in the top 10. I challenge anybody to go find a list that doesn't include those two, because the absolute and just for both of them to be a part of those wins and the way that they were, and it's little stuff too, right? And it's not been perfect, but it's just damn. I mean, Josiah Mosley, man, this is some fun for us to have, because this is somebody you can grow old with here, and he's just starting to scratch the surface of what he can do. He does some things that you simply cannot teach or coach.
Seems to be a bit of a player.
Well, he's got some. He's a unit, man. I mean, like his athleticism is freakish, and yet he's this. Yes, sir. He's kind of got a Christian Anderson vibe to him in that he never wavers. You can get onto him, you can praise him. He's the same dude. But and if you could get him to kind of turn the volume up and keep it there, like for longer periods, this is somebody that can be like, he's got some serious upside. What he's doing from a block shot standpoint, let's just talk about that. What he's doing from a rim protection standpoint or altering shots, and I'm talking doing this against some of the best guys in the league. This is becoming the norm, but he's now playing longer minutes. We got a glimpse of him playing the 5, and you kind of went small with Lawan at the 4 and Josiah at the 5, and that's a fun lineup. I think was it not on the mailbag?
Yeah, you touched on that.
Yeah, and we hadn't really seen that much, but foul trouble necessitated it, and I think the returns were very positive there. It was, again, you really didn't have much choice. I guess you did. You could have put Mariel in there, but I think they just deemed Mariel just wasn't going to be quite the fit in this game, like Josiah was. But and then Bamboye, man, because what Iowa State does to you and what Texas Tech wants to do, they want to stay in the middle of the floor and run the pick and roll stuff, right? We've seen this. Well, you can't do the long roll, okay, and take all this time and then let us throw an alley-oop. That's not what works against Iowa State, because there's 2 on the ball. You can't see anything. You'd almost have to throw a Harlem Globetrotter behind the back pass at the rim if this is what you're doing. So the roll has to be much shorter. So you get, basically your post players were getting the ball on the elbow or kind of at in the paint, but closer to the free throw line. And then it's like, okay, it's decision time. I can't go dunk it. Is there another pass to be made? Do I shoot it from here? And it can create some indecision. Because you teach post guys post rim action. So you get the ball, you look at the rim, and now it's decide what to do. Well, a few times it's like, okay, shoot it, pass it, dribble it. What do I do here? And how many guys do I have around me? And you're not real sure. And so that's what you get worried about, because you're getting the ball in these guys' hands at a spot where they're not necessarily used to getting it. It's one thing if you're covered and you're back to the basket right there when you get it. But if you get it and there's a lot of space, that space is not going to be for long now. And so they worked on a lot of those short floaters, which I thought was good. And they knocked some of those down. But I just thought the decision-making between Mosley and Bamboye was maybe the most impressive thing, because Luke has been known to be a bit timid. He doesn't want to go dunk it every time. He's kind of like whatever. But on this day, he knew exactly, like I'm going, and I'm gonna attack, so that to me was, because that takes time, that takes confidence, and I can't emphasize to you how stressful that environment is when they are allowing pushing and shoving and tugging and pulling, and it is 15,000 right on top of you. And I just thought those two guys aced a serious test. So, because you're not going to play in a tougher environment the rest of the way than what that one was, period.
You said Friday, this could be your toughest matchup in general till March. And environment-wise, it's probably as tough as it'll get.
Yeah, BYU will be something, okay, but it's not quite as, angry. It's loud, and it's a big building. I mean, they'll put 18,000 in there, but the Iowa State, the Midwestern kind of crowds like the Kansases and the Iowa States and some of those, there's some anger and some grit your teeth and like entitlement or some like, well, how dare you come in here and try to be better at us at this sport than we, that kind of thing, right? And
Oh yeah,
you can feel it. And I just thought those guys, I just was super impressed with their decision making and not being timid, because the blocks were there. The blocks for Bamboye toward the tail end, right before he fouled out. And I thought each one of them, they're going to blow a whistle here, but they didn't. And he got 2 or 3 trips in a row. He blocked some shots, and that was allowing you to hang on and keep your lead and kind of milk the clock down a bit. But yeah, I was very impressed with those two in particular.
Unbelievable. Mosley 1 rebound shy of a double-double, if you did not know. Chris, before we get out of here.
And 3 block shots.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going back to what we said last week. I'm enjoying sometimes when a shot gets blocked, not knowing whose hand it came from, because you got a Bamboye and a Mosley and somebody else all in the area at the same time. It's fun to see. A bit of a swarm, if you will. Chris, before we get out of here, I've got to get to this symptom of a well-run program. And by well-run, I mean directly tied to your head coach and his support staff, his assistants, and whoever it may be, because I think it could take just about anybody that's in a quarter zip to help with this kind of thing. I mentioned Donovan Atwell just in game. Hey, stay plugged in. You hadn't seen one fall in a while, but here's a huge moment in the second half. Want to drop one in? Yes, I'm ready, and I'll drop it in. Okay, thank you. It's sort of the same thing from a season-long standpoint, and this is one of the things I feel like Grant McCasland and his staff do so well, and maybe as well as anyone or better than anyone in the country, because we've got another game where we're talking about a random impact guy joining Nolan Groves, joining Leon Horner. Tyree Bryan, hello, welcome to the party. And Chris, this is only a result, I believe, just to put it in simple terms, only a result of the ability to keep a guy plugged in all season long. And then, whoops, all of a sudden, here's some opportunity for you on the road against number 4. You want to do anything with it? If you ain't ready, if you're not plugged in, then you probably won't. But I think, as I said last week, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And Tyree Bryan has stayed ready. It seems like, holy cow, where'd that come from?
Yeah, Nolan Groves versus Duke, Leon Horner versus Arizona, Josiah Mosley versus Houston.
Yeah.
And now Tyree Bryan versus Iowa State. That's been a common theme, and is the random guy that just steps up and gives you massive minutes, impactful minutes. This is one of the harder things to do with society today, is to keep young people engaged. One, it's such a instant gratification society that we're all living in, right? Especially when it comes to sports. I'm not getting what I want, I'm out. You're not paying me what I want, or you're not getting me my shots, or finger pointing, or it's somebody else's fault, or I got all these people in my ear, whatever. There's a million reasons why kids would want to tap out or maintain a year of eligibility and go try it again next year, and all the stuff. So what Grant and his staff are doing here is it's a modern day unicorn, in that their ability to keep guys invested, plugged in, as you said. So Tyree Bryan is the latest example. And we have seen, Tyree had an ankle injury before the Duke game, and I think it slowed him down for 2 to 3 weeks. There has been some defensive lapses and things like that. Grant has even said, I'm just not going to watch it anymore. He subs him out, maybe doesn't get some time back in. But they haven't ever quit on this kid or any of these guys. And the constant message internally is, like you just said, like it's stay ready. But here, this is Grant's, like you talk about, you joke about superpowers and like the way he can handle people. That's the hardest thing in sports, man, is to like have a constant good feel for each individual, because each individual sometimes needs to be coached a bit differently, but to keeping it together. And so there's not finger pointing and backstabbing and chatter and, whatever. Against Duke, it was Nolan Groves, guarding Cam Boozer. Could be the player of the year. Like, you kidding me? Then against Houston, it was Josiah Mosley. First game back, knocks down a couple of threes, has about 6 rebounds or whatever it was. You're not winning that game without his input and just his minutes and things like that. Against Arizona, it's Leon Horner. Well, yesterday was Tyree Bryan's turn, and I think that he had fallen out of favor at times. He had an ankle injury that he was battling through, and at times Grant was just like, I'm not going to watch the defensive lapses. I'm just not going to do it. And so he had run out of extended chances, but he never was just tossed to the side like, hey, we're not. But I think that Grant discussed this on multiple platforms after this game was over, that about a week and a half ago, that after the JT injury, he started having this kid break down the huddles and talk to the team before they'd run out before games and all that kind of stuff. He actually broke down the huddle, I think, according to Grant, in the locker room after this big win. And this is not a talkative person. I think he's pretty quiet. He's kind of an emotional kid, but they just keep pouring into him. And I think that Grant wanted to credit, Christian and Lawan and Donovan Atwell specifically for saying, no, don't push him further away, bring him closer in, kind of the metaphor. And he delivered. The 2 threes, man, were just massive. The run out layup in the first half when he got really sped up, and I thought, oh, he's about to get this block. This is not going to go well. He had another one in the second half, which was another 2-point bucket that he had going to the rim. But his energy and his confidence kind of goes up, and we've had a few games like this, nothing like this one, but there were some times where you saw some glimpses of what he is or what they thought he would be. But it's just, you just have to credit, and Grant's people will tell you, this is his like superpower, is his ability to kind of like keep everybody involved, keep everybody on edge, keep everybody ready and still feeling good about themselves. Because I think that behind the scenes, he's coaching the Nolan Groveses and the Tyree Bryans or the Leon Horners as hard as the other guys. And so it's not like, here's my group and here's my other group. No, it's all one. And I think that they just continue to deliver for him. And they're different people. That's what's crazy. It's not the same random guy. It's a different one every single time against some of the best teams in the sport and against some of the toughest venues in the sport. So it is just massively impressive. And maybe we should quit being so shocked or like stunned or I can't believe, calling it a minor miracle, whatever. I mean, this is just kind of what the guy does, man. Grant McCasland, the best thing I can say about, he is a winner. Everything he does is about winning. He's not worried about what everybody else is talking about or how everybody that thinks that and there's just not a lot of, it's a well-connected coaching staff that works beautifully together. This is also why Grant, I think, is very particular and has always been slow to make these hires when he's gone through these processes. Who do we want? Because it's all about, he just thinks about it differently, and it's always like piece to the puzzle. And okay, is this the right personality or the right skill set for what we need big picture? And man, is he just been good at constructing teams and coaches, and then squeezing everything you can out of every aspect of your program, which is the best compliment you can give a coach, to say he's a winner and that they're the best version of themselves. I just don't know how you compliment a coach any more than that, because this is what we've seen repeatedly now.
You referenced something last week in relation to Bob Knight in a previous era, and we'll just slap it on Grant McCaslin this era. He'll beat you with his 5 guys. He'll take your 5 guys and beat you with your 5 guys, et cetera, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
I'm a believer, and I will no longer be surprised at anything we see come across. Plus 7.5, I was thinking, let's make it interesting. Plus 10.5, I thought maybe half the team didn't get off the bus or something. I was wondering what was going on. I was liking that one, and it goes back to Friday. hey, we almost expected this point, something interesting to happen. I was not bold enough to be talking wins and all that. But I think we also said last week, if he pulls this off, it likely will be his best work yet because of all that was involved. We can debate that and figure out how we feel about it with each individual Red Raider. It doesn't matter. It's just fun to talk about. And we'll continue to have some fun this week because on our next episode, Chris, I want to talk about some big picture things, NCAA seeding wise, and maybe now what you have set for yourself conference tournament wise. And I can't wait to find out which national pundits here there's like, oh, I don't know, maybe the 8 seed. Could they sneak in on the bubble? But we're here on the ground in the LBK. So stick with us. We'll give you the real deal. And we'll get to that coming up dead ahead because that picture is getting just more and more exciting thinking about those possibilities. We talked gain ground or hold ground last week. I'm in a gain ground frame of mind this week, no doubt.
And speaking of Grant, too, does he get cheated in conversations with the officials or what? Because he gets every bit of money's worth during a game when it comes to – and that's also a common theme, like with some of these wins, is like his juice or his passion, his ability to kind of be very measured and very fired up and all that. I just think that it infuses a ton of confidence in his kids because they know, man, I'm going to get yelled at if I screw up, and the referee's going to get yelled at if he screws up. But it all comes from the right place. He doesn't ever use the magic words. He doesn't. I mean, it may be a bit boisterous and things like that, but I just think that's everybody feeds off of that. I mean, like, you want to fight the guy, go for it because it probably won't go well for you. That's just his. That's the way he looks at it, and I'm here for it. I love it. But
just a simple donkey rancher by day, a giant slayer by night.
Yep, that's right. I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, big time dad, big time husband, big time, loves animals and all that stuff. But man, you get him in that element, man, and he is a killer.
Oh, man, as fun as it could be. And we hadn't even got to the fun stuff yet. March just arrived, so I can't wait to find out what's shaking up this month. Got a fun one back in the LBK we'll be getting ready for as Texas Christian comes to town, fitting the description of the next potential victim. That's on the way this week. And on our next episode, like I said, we'll get back to looking ahead to some bigger pictures, whether conference tournament or NCAA tournament wise. And Chris will have to tell me why we are not a no doubt 2 seed. Can't wait to have that conversation coming up with you, Chris. Appreciate your time. Welcome back to God's country, and we'll see you for the next one.
Yeah, March is here, man.
Let's go. We sleep in May.
Yes, that's right. I've got that freaking song. I can't. Yeah, you can inject this month into my veins. And it's like one of the best months of sports, man. It especially so when you're in the middle of it. And guess what? Your demise was greatly exaggerated. You're going to be in the thick of this deal, and we'll talk about all that coming up next time.
Yes, sir. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks to the Everydayers for always riding along. And, of course, the Matador Mob. You can find a link in our show notes to a free 14-day trial, your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one texts. Very enthusiastic this weekend, sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks, as always, for the time. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.